Good afternoon, Joe Biondo with Inbound Logistics Magazine. We are live from Modex 2026 Day 2. Right now I'm talking to Gregg Bansavage, CIO of RBW Logistics. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
I'm doing great. Let's jump right into it.
Okay.
What would you say you're hearing from your customers as the biggest pain point that they're experiencing now compared to maybe 2 years ago, Greg?
Yeah, so it's interesting. For myself, I actually started before on the other side where 3PLs were actually my customers. And so the same ask of them is the same ask of today. It's like real-time visibility. They want to know what's going on within their systems. Where's my inventory? How about my orders? And so for us, one of the ways we're actually solving that is by providing them a custom portal that provides them that real-time view as far as where the orders are, the inventory status, how much inventory we have on hand, and how long it's taken to get to a customer.
So, looking around the Modex floor today, what is one thing you've seen that might have been unthinkable even 5 years ago?
Yeah, so everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, right? But it's artificial intelligence being used with actual video. We saw a vendor out there, actually Zebra, if I can say that,
yep.
That is utilizing technology that allows, when we're receiving pallets, for example, the pallets often sometimes come with labels that actually don't have barcodes. And so our individuals, our receiving department has to receive it in and key that information in. That often can lead to errors, right, because there's manual entry. Their technology is allowing the OCR and AI to be able to receive that in without having to key anything in. In addition to that, which is actually pretty cool, is the fact that as inventory is being received in, it's actually analyzing the parcel or the pallet for damages. And if it finds it, it's flagged.
So you've hit on AI and different technologies here. What would you say is the biggest mistake you see companies make as they're embarking on this digital transformation journey?
Yeah, so these digital transformations automatically are assumed as IT projects, and I think the truth of it is they need to be business-wide initiatives, right? I think companies that get it right, they put together a clear vision of what that end state needs to be. They spend the time with their department leads within their functional groups and their cross-functional teams and put together processes that they ultimately feel will meet those organizational goals. Once they've done that, then you choose the technology to move forward with your digital transformation. If you don't, you wind up spending a lot of money digitizing inefficiencies, and ironically, causing more complexity than value.
Greg, so we're seeing a major shift here at Modex this year, and instead of companies owning their own WMS, they're handing that responsibility over to their 3PL partners. Why are brands suddenly eager to let RBW own the technology stack?
Yeah, I think it's to simplify their operations. Right, at the end of the day, I think what they want to do is they want to pass that burden of managing those complex systems and those costs onto us.
Greg, so you've mentioned that this move is all about reducing the integration burden. How does RBW owning the WMS eliminate those expensive custom builds and messy data handoffs that usually slow down the supply chain?
Yeah, so when we think about eliminating that integration burden, what we're referring to is us now owning that execution layer, otherwise the WMS. You know, when you think about a supply chain, there are several systems that have to come together to put it together, and each of those systems needs to talk to one another, and each of those handoffs, if you will, require custom integration, fine-tuning, and maintenance, and that comes with a cost. By turning that execution layer over to us, we're now able to take on that burden and execute better than they could on their own at a cheaper cost.
So RBW recently made an acquisition that gives you guys a major nationwide footprint. How does being a national player change the game for a customer who wants a single, clean data view across every warehouse from coast to coast?
Yeah, so this is very exciting for us. We were a regional player for a while, and so when customers came to us, we can only handle the Southeast, right? And so now when customers come to us, now we have a national presence, and they don't have to go to another 3PL to handle, like, for example, West Coast operations. Where that really can play into a big part is when we're taking on customers that are more retail-oriented. Right, so if a customer has a presence on Amazon, they might need another 3PL to ship products for their West Coast operations. Now, with our WMS and our technology, we leverage our DOM, our distributed order management system, to be able to choose which warehouse to pick, pack, and ship from. And they also take advantage now of our unified portal to get that 360-degree view of all the operations that are happening.
So executives these days, they want more and more visibility, but don't really want to deal with the management. How does RBW provide that quote-unquote control tower view to a customer while keeping the IT heavy lifting entirely on your side of the fence?
Yeah, so that's a real dynamic, and I think for us, the best way to put it is that we really try to separate the experience from the infrastructure.
Yep.
So on that experience side, what we're doing is we build a portal, right, that allows them to get that single unified view of all activities from orders, inventory, and the execution of the network.
Mm-hmm.
On the back side, the infrastructure side, we're picking up the work and managing the WMS, the integration, the data model, and everything else that comes with it. So essentially what we're doing is we're really, for those CEOs of those companies, we're now providing them a control tower, if you will, as a service, as opposed to the burden that they would have to otherwise manage with their own WMS.
So for a company that's growing rapidly and doesn't want to waste 6 months standing up its own software, how fast can RBW onboard them into your existing ecosystem compared to them doing it on their own?
Yeah, so having been there before several times, standing up a WMS is at least 6 to 12 months.
Yep.
You've got to figure out what you want the WMS to do. You have to go select the WMS, you got to implement the WMS. Then if you want to integrate with your customers, integrate with your TMS, your ERP, it takes a long time. And ultimately what happens is it might take 6 to 12 months to implement, but it's much longer than that when the reality sets in as far as what was missed in the first go live. So for us, by turning that over to us, we essentially now changed really the mentality of this as to being a configuration as opposed to an implementation for them.
Makes a lot of sense.